Greetings, my name is Jessica Wolf, and today I'm going to be talking about a project that I've been working on over the past couple weeks in regards to giving a security evaluation to a company. So basically, in the beginning of my project, I was able to propose what company I was going to choose, and then I picked 8 topics that I would do my security evaluation over. And then from there, I was able to basically create this presentation. So let's jump in. So why is security so important? Security is extremely important for companies because it helps prevent crime, it ensures that employees are safe, it ensures that assets are protected, and that the company is able to stay financially stable. So let's dig in a little bit here. So how does security make crime preventable? So if you have high standards of security, it's going to stop hackers from accessing your system. So that's going to help stop that. And then also, when there's high standards of security, your employees are going to be protected because they don't have to fear that something's going to happen either to them or to the data that they're working on. Also, security is important because it helps protect your client's data, which is where it's like asset protection, your client's data, and then your system. And then for the financial part of it, if you happen to have an attack on your system and it's actually is successful, then the company has to deal with all the problems that arise from that, which actually costs a lot of money. So the security ensures that hackers are not able to phish, do malware, password attacks, and cryptojacking. So basically, they're not able to send employees links and then the employees click. If your security standards are high enough, like most of that is going to be avoided as well, like password attacks. So with your password, you have to make sure that your employees' passwords are long enough, they don't have easily guessed data in them. So if you're able to have the highest level of security possible, you're going to be able to avoid a lot of these. Okay, so in my security evaluation, I will be covering perimeter and building security, system and network security, data security, surveillance and alarms, security awareness of employees, compliance of operational security, background checks and vetting of new employees, and access control of users. So I'm going to dig in a little bit into each one. So with the first one, perimeter and building security, what does this entail? So it's basically like the security of the outside of your building and also the security of the inside of your building, making sure that it's protected. So for the first one, you have to make sure that you have physical barriers, that unauthorized people aren't just allowed to enter your building and access data. You have to make sure that your technology is up to date, so software. And so sorry, in this case it would be cameras and making sure that the entire building is being watched at all times. And then also that you have personnel watching over the outside and inside of the building, making sure that it's safe. So for the next one, system and network security, you have to make sure that the data of your company and the workings of it are secure and safe. So make sure that it has a firewall, that data is encrypted, and that access controls are in place. So with firewalls, you're basically making sure that access is only traffic in and out of the company is basically being watched, and that you basically hackers aren't able to get through. So that's why you would have a firewall in place. And then from there, you would make sure that your data is encrypted. So just in case that someone was able to get through the firewall, that they would be able to, then the data would basically be gibberish, so they wouldn't be able to understand it. And then next, you would make sure that your employees have, that there's access controls in place so that employees are only allowed to view data that they're working on and not anything else. So for instance, a manager is going to have more access to data because they need that to have the access to that data, whereas a regular employee does not need as much access as a manager. So for this one, we would be looking at that. And for the next one, data security, you need to make sure that data your data in your company is confidential, that it is available, that there's highest levels of integrity, that there's a backup and recovery system in place, and then also firewall. So confidentiality is that just note that basically not anybody that wants to is able to view data. That data is basically protected. That basically it's available to authorized users, and that its integrity is complete, and that it never loses its completeness and then we would also be making sure that your system has backup and recovery systems in place, so that if by chance something did happen to your data, you would have a backup to make sure that you wouldn't have to start from scratch. And then your firewall would also ensure that, again, looking at the traffic of incoming and outgoing of your system. Then from there, we would look at your surveillance and alarm. So we look at your camera system, your alarm system, and your intercom system. So cameras are in all necessary spots. You're viewing what's going on in the company, so that if a problem does arise, you are able to look back on that with the camera system. Alarm system, that if by chance an emergency happens, an alarm could be immediately put off so that employees could get out. And then an intercom system, so that management could communicate with everybody in the company at the same time. Instead of having to talk to people individually, we would check on that. Then for the next one, we want to make sure that employees are adequately aware of the standards in place. So there needs to be training, that you have to make sure that they're handling data correctly, that their passwords are not just easy to guess, and that they are being trained on when to spot a phishing attack. And so that all of that would be in the training, so that employees would be aware of what to be looking for. And then next, you want to make sure that not only is a company not only does the company have standards in place, but that they're following the standards. So in our review, we would be making sure that basically data is being protected, and then that the standards are being followed. And we would ensure that there's a team of people in charge of this, and every so often they would then give reviews to higher management, so that they're aware of what's going on. And then next, you want to make sure that people in your company that are working at your company are actually upright individuals, and they're not going to hurt your company in any way. So that's why you need to be performing background checks on your employees and incoming employees. And so in a background check, you would be able to see, with a social security number, you would be able to see their address, you would be able to see their work history, their criminal history. And from that, then you'd be able to determine whether an employee is a good fit for your company. With the next one, you want to make sure that employees only have access to the necessary data. We touched on this earlier. But basically, you don't want them to have access to every single piece of data. They only need access to the data that they're actually working on. And the way that you make sure that that is achieved is through authentication, which ensures that they are who they say they are. So there's like two-factor authentication that it can verify, like with their email or with their email or a text to their phone number. And then if they have been authenticated, then there's the authorization. Then basically they're able to view whatever data they actually have access to. And then next, so basically at the end of, basically those would be the things we would be covering in our security assessment of the company. And this will be done in 3 stages. So in the first stage, we'll be collecting the data from the company operations, and then we will assess the collected data. And then lastly, we'll be providing recommendations to Sumeriko Ohio, which is the company that I choose to do. So, and then our recommendations will be based on the NIST framework and the ISO framework, and then also other security standards that have been put in place and are accepted worldwide. So again, this will be done in 3 stages, and we recommend that we start as soon as possible. So at the beginning of the year would be a great time to start, and it will be completed in a matter of 4 weeks. And so the takeaways from this is that it's highly important for companies to have security evaluations done frequently, because this ensures that the safety of their company is the highest priority, and that they also don't fall to basically an attacker that hacks their system, and then they have all the problems with that. So that's why it's important to have security evaluations, because safety is the most important thing for a company. And so our goal with our security evaluation would be safety. Thank you so much.